Hi, everybody. Welcome to Afterburner here after a disappointing Calgary Flame loss. An extra time because it's me and Gould. You're guaranteed a tight game, overtime, or a shootout. Afterburner is a presentation of Bet365, the world's largest sports betting platform. Get your account today. If you haven't already, use the promo code NATION right above Mike's head. Right there. NATION. Download the app. Get using it. Get loving it. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. Flames, you know what they did? They squandered a decent 40-minute effort, and they squandered a 3-1 lead after 40 minutes and fall 4-3 in overtime. The goal, the winner for David Pastrnak, his 12th. We were talking about him on the other show. It's been the points are there. He's still a point a game guy. You feel like you really got to critique and get on a guy who's a point per game. But for Pastrnak, it's a little pedestrian numbers, but he did show in the little half a second or the 1 second, and you could feel it coming. It's like, it's a lot of room for that guy. It's a lot of room. He can kill you, and he did in overtime.
It's an elite shot, and he's always been that elite shooter. And the Bruins really poured it on in the last 25 minutes of that game. They outshoot the Flames 19-5 after the start of the third period. And Dustin Wolf, people in the chat are talking, like he had a bad game. I thought he had a great game. I thought he looked just like, arguably one of the best players on the team. They didn't get a lot of help in the later stages of that game. And he's the reason kind of that it got to overtime in the first place. And he has to face all four shots, I should say, in overtime. The Flames don't even get one. And ultimately it's that fourth one in the extra frame that gets by him. And, for a guy like Pastrnak who can score at will, although maybe not as much this season, that's just posting in, perfectly placed. Not a lot of goaltenders are going to stop that shot.
Yeah, I don't know where I don't think it's a Wolf bad goal or anything. I do wonder how I wonder it's an elite shot. It's a great shot. I don't like the way they played it.
No.
They have again, it's Kadri. You live by the Kadri, you die by him. And he had a couple of chances there, and he skated in and made the play. And then it's just kind of a loose, and they're happy to change, just happy to slow the pace down. And then Pastrnak gets the puck. It's like, all this is going through my mind. It's a little soft, giving him a little bit too much room. And we'll take a look at it here. As he's got all kinds of time, they allow what was it, like the Leafs when the Leafs gave that he scored the winner in the playoffs against Toronto. Just, I'm going to come in easy here. Backlund decides I'm just not going to do it. Anderson a little soft, and then it's posting in.
Yeah,
there's a lot not to like there, and it sounds nitpicky, right? It's a pretty good game, all things considered, but I don't love Backlund. He didn't put a stick on him any way, shape, or form at any time. And then almost a bit of a screen from Anderson. I don't know. Didn't love it. And there again, I feel like maybe that is one that Wolf should have. I'm not hanging it on him. I certainly didn't like the first goal, the Lindholm goal. And not sure how I feel about that one. The middle two really kind of broken plays. Tough to one's off of kind of gets knocked down in front, and one's off. Well, the first one's a rebound, and then the other one's off a kind of a fanned shot that's there for McLaughlin. But I don't know. I think you're maybe a little higher on the Wolf effort than maybe I am, but that's.
Well, I think even the Lindholm goal went off the stick in front. Like to me it's an effort where, the way that you said it was well put. It was a game of broken plays. Now I grant you it's a relatively clean shot in overtime. I don't like at all how Anderson played it. I don't like at all how Backlund played it. Posted in, it's kind of a perfectly placed shot to me, but it is the way that it is. You might want to see it stop. Ultimately, you do. But I did not like Kadri in overtime at all. I mean, I just trying to force that exact same play twice up the right side, trying to cut in sort of 1-on-3. Setting it up the other way. Overtime's such a possession game, and that wasn't possession at all from Kadri. It wasn't a possession-oriented play. But yeah, Backlund and Anderson. I mean, Sharangovich wasn't really in the play, but those two were in the play, and I didn't think they really played it well at all.
And there was one that Anderson, he took a chance. He took a shot, a scoring chance. And it really, so I mean, you basically turned the puck over 3 times in overtime that lasted 4 minutes and 20 seconds. Like you say, it's a possession deal. Not the best game plan there. Now, we mentioned Bet365. They're still on the screen there. And generally what happens is on the other show, whenever we start to rip somebody, they tend to turn things up over the course of time. It's kind of like you and I doing the post-game show. You know, it's going to overtime. If we rip a guy on Barn Burner, they are going to have a fine night. And on the we were talking Lindholm. Elias Lindholm has been he's been dreadful. 1 goal in his last whatever it is. It's his first goal in 12 tonight. And you're welcome, Elias Lindholm. And we even went so far as to maybe put our money where our mouth is. I'm not sure. The Bet365 bet from this morning was a anytime goal for Elias Lindholm. Keep in mind, he had 2 goals in the first 3 games of the season. And in the 29 games after, he had 1 goal. Well, congratulations. And chipped in an assist. So
yeah,
if you went with Pinder's Elias Lindholm, you're happy with your plus 300. Thank you, Bet365. It's just that easy. Just that easy.
You kind of see it coming, right? I mean,
Yeah.
These ex-Flames love coming to town and just sort of showing off. And you know, he was fine. He was fine. You know,
Yeah.
He was Elias Lindholm. I mean, you kind of know what you're going to get with that guy at this point. I still can't believe he made Team Sweden over Michael Backlund, but it is what it is, and I'm curious to see how that ends up for them. But yeah, I mean, good for him.
Yeah. What do you make of the Bruins based on what you saw tonight? And it's tough because they're on a road trip and they got their doors blown off in the first 2 games, and then they blow Vancouver's doors off. So it's Christmas is coming and all that. I don't know how much stock you can really put into what you saw tonight, but this just feels like an average team. This feels like wild card-ish. Maybe get the 3rd spot. You're a road team in round 1. I don't know. There's some younger guys, but it still feels like this is an old team, and got older with guys like Zadorov and Lindholm.
Yeah, they're kind of hard to project because that entire Atlantic division's been kind of weird this year. You know, there's been a lot of talk about how the Bruins have fallen off, and quite frankly, they don't look like the same Bruins as they once were. They're 3 points out of the division lead. Like it is very it's very strange over there right now. And I don't really know how that Atlantic division race is going to shake out. I mean, you got the Senators sniffing around a spot right now with the way that things are shaking out. So, I mean, they look demonstrably different from my vantage point whenever Marchand and Pasternak are on the ice. And when they're not, I don't really see a whole lot of drivers. The guys who sort of stand out to me are guys like Justin Brazeau. I mean, they're a bit of a lunch pail group, and I guess that's sort of when the Bruins are at their best, is when they sort of embrace a collective identity over an individualistic one. But same time, you know, they just don't have the star power that they once had, or at least they don't have the depth of star power at the top of their lineup. They only have, you know, 1 or 2 real difference makers. And when that's the case, and some of the guys on your team are underperforming, it's just not going to be quite like it was. And I'm not exactly sure how it's going to play out over there, but they can't be happy, you know, tonight aside from the way that their 2 big free agent signings in the offseason have panned out. I didn't think Zadorov was all that much to write home about tonight, and they got him for 5 more years after this one at a huge number. It's a really interesting situation over there.
Yeah, I think it's like I like Charlie Coyle. He's been in the league for a long time. Tonight, game 900, I believe, actually. And then I think if the Bruins were the team that we watched on a regular basis, I think we'd have an appreciation for Pavel Zacha and the way that he plays. And Frederick plays a hard-nosed brand. But I don't know. I don't know that they're going to strike fear into the Floridas, Tampas of the world that you figure are going to be there when it's all kind of said and done. Derek Newman Group, part of the CIR Realty family. Whether you're buying or selling, let Derek go to work for you. His email address, dnewman@cirrealty.ca, or call 403-619-6661. Buying or selling. I mean, actually, we're looking to sell. Perfect. Derek Newman. We're really looking to buy. We could use a place. Derek Newman. Whatever you throw at me, I'm going to tell you the answer is a Derek Newman. Complimentary in-house home staging consultation, accountable and available, has the ability to find the homes that are off market, that aren't even on the market yet. They kind of got, they got the bloodhounds out there sniffing it out. Go the extra mile to hunt down options for you buyers and sellers. He's a Calgary guy, and he's working Greater Calgary better than anyone. Call Derek 403-619-6661, and he'll make it easy for you. Let Derek put his network to work for you. Network to work for you.
Sort of like a quasi portmanteau over there, Dean.
I guess. Yeah.
Slogans.
Something like that. The top pair, it was about a week ago, I guess, and top pair, Kevin Ball. It's just the way it's kind of, he had the -5. I think he's been fine. He's had some games where you've been left wanting. That was one of the things that kind of struck you as maybe, I don't know if you put words in your mouth, off night. Do you like what you're seeing with those two? Obviously Anderson, the stronger of the two, but this is how it's going to be almost by default. I don't think anybody else is really going to, barring an injury, these are the pairings. These are the top 4 you're going to see, I would think, for the remainder of the season.
Yeah, I just don't know. I wasn't a huge fan of their performance tonight. They really struggled in terms of chances tonight. Just demolished about 3-1 ratio when the Bruins were on the ice against them. The Bruins just ran roughshod on them, and I'm a bit concerned. I don't necessarily know if I love the stylistic fit of having those two together. I think there's just not enough foot speed there, and I think they can get burned by some faster teams. I almost wonder about putting Anderson with Weegar and just trying to stack your top pair a little bit and see if you can make things work after that, and maybe try and have a top pair that can run, 25 minutes. Because I just don't know if I love those two specifically together. If that's the one critique that I have about the Flames defense, is that it's just might not have the same level of speed or agility that you might see from some others. I think that was one thing that Oliver Shillington really did well. I mean, he had some other defects in his game, but they just don't really have that dimension right now. And, as much as Daniil Miramanov can have his ups and downs, even when he's in, he doesn't have that speed either, right? So it is an interesting thing to watch for. I'm just very curious to see, because if you put those two together, then all of a sudden you really have a hole on your second pair. But I just don't know. I wonder if maybe you look at trying a Kevin Ball with a Jake Bean or something, because Bean, I think, has been kind of impressive lately. I've liked his puck moving ability, his ability to jump into the rush. I almost wonder if that makes a bit of sense to try as a second pair, because when you look at it, if you like Kevin Ball as a top 4 defenseman, if you do, then the Flames are really in a position where no matter what they do, they're going to have somebody in their top 4 who maybe shouldn't be there on paper.
I was going to say, I think what it comes down to is it's the top pair just because they're playing together, and it's Anderson. It's Ball with Anderson, and then it's Weegar with Miramanov or Bean or whoever it is. You've got Anderson and Weegar, and then you really have a collection of guys. Yeah. None of them are 2s. None of them are 3s, and probably none of them are 4s. Pahal has been real steady in his spot. You're not moving him up. You're letting him do what he does. Just keep it simple. And then it's just kind of like you can shuffle all these things around, but at the end of the day, you look at what do we got? Okay, well, we've still got 2 guys that are pretty good, and then we have a collection of other guys.
Well, and I almost wonder if there's a bit of a distorted view from fans and media and everybody alike, just on what Miramanov can do, because he hasn't had that exposure on a third pairing spot. With him, it's either pretty much been top 4 or nothing. And so I'm almost curious to see, what Bean does maybe in that spot. And then you try Miramanov on the bottom pair and see if he's a little less exposed there. Because I think with Weegar, sometimes he's just there's a little bit too much on his plate. And I think there's maybe the chance you put him on that third pair, maybe with a guy like Pahal, even if you have 2 righties there, and you just see if that's maybe a more natural fit for the game that he plays, because he has the offensive ability. We've seen it with Daniil Miramanov. You let Pahal sort of hold the fort, I think that could maybe work a little bit, and then you give Bean that responsibility. I think it could work for all parties involved. So it's just an idea that I had because, as of right now, I just think Anderson and Ball aren't working. I think it's been, I think at their best they've been okay, and when it hasn't been going well, it's been real tough sledding. I just think it's maybe something maybe worth trying. On the flip side of that, though, I think Joel Hanley's been pretty good. I think. It's funny when they signed him or when they claimed him off waivers, I was thinking, okay, maybe this guy's a little bit like Matt Bartkowski-ish, sort of in that mold. And, he doesn't really get it's tough for him because he's in his 30s. He's sort of in his mid 30s at this point. Mm-hmm. So there isn't much leash for him, and he's on an expiring contract. So he's not exactly looked at as being a piece. But I have yet to really watch Joel Hanley in a game and come away with the impression of, this guy's shaky, he's fine. He does his job just perfectly well. And I thought, for what he had to do tonight, he was fine. He was good. He stopped a couple of goals. He was really good.
Yeah, he did make, like you say, he was there on that one play as Huberdeau gets a piece of the stick of Marchand, and then Hanley knocks that away. He's what he is. Yeah. He's not going to be able to take a night where I'm giving 80%. He's going to have to work at his highest output level at all times, and he's not going to wow you. And like you say, the hope is that he doesn't burn you. And I don't know that we've seen him really cost the Flames in any way, shape, or form.
Well,
top of my head, or is there one?
Well, no, it shouldn't have been. This is a pretty good segue because it leads us into the only penalty of the game, right. Which I did not really agree with at all. I thought it was an excellent defensive effort by Joel Hanley. He got the puck. He sort of went, I thought, body on body against the Bruins forward who was attacking. They called it a trip. I didn't see a trip. To me, that's just a collision. That's just sort of that's incidental to the play that Hanley made, which to me was stick on puck. And that, to me, it rings even worse because that's the only penalty you're going to call in the entire game against either team. That just, to me, didn't really sit right. I think we got the video of it here somewhere here, but for me, that was a play that Hanley should have been sort of recognized for. It was a great, in my opinion, a great defensive play that kept the game close late. That's not a penalty. No way. Here it is. Look at this.
So it's Lindholm coming with the puck, and Hanley just kind of
runs into him.
He just kind of runs into him. He does reach for the puck, and now I'll be honest, I didn't go rushing to the rule book tonight to see what it exactly says. I know Kelly Rudy had said that the rule book has changed, but yeah, it used to be if you get the puck first, then you're good to go. That it was not an egregious. It's not like he can't give him a can opener or anything like that. And like you say, the Flames did not have a power play tonight. This was the one penalty the officials saw fit to call tonight. Does not hurt the Flames as they kill off the power play. But anyway,
to me, that's shoulder on groin. That's the principal point of contact.
The old shoulder on groin.
The old shoulder on groin. I mean, that's
takes me back.
Me, that's not a penalty.
Takes me back. Richmond's Pub, the official home away from home for Afterburner every home game. You've
lots
got
of shoulder on groin there.
Lots of shoulder on groin, at least when we were there. Yeah, lots of it. Great food, daily specials, TVs everywhere. Barn Burner Blonde from Origin Brewing. Special price all the time. If it's a Calgary game day, they got the Coors Light, the Coors Original, the Coors Seltzer on special. And coming up in early Jan, we're going to be back there on a Tuesday night, wing night. And they have their monthly VIP experience. You go on Thursday night and watch Thursday Night Football, and you enter. And if you are the one qualifier whose name is picked, you get yourself a nice little gift card and a berth in the final. And that happens the next Thursday, and then the next Thursday, and then the first week of the following month, which will be January, we show up and we pick one name. Now you need to be in attendance. You can't just not show up. But then that person wins a trip for two, flights, hotel, spending cash, and tickets to an NFL game. Pretty decent. Hey,
good deal
for going and having a little Thursday Night Football in your life. It's Richmond's Sports Live here, 3919 Richmond Road in the heart of Glamorgan. Now, you were there last time. Did you do the dill pickle wings? What'd you do?
I did do the dill pickle wings.
Mike Gould, dill pickle wing review. for
They were
Richmond's
good.
Pub?
If I could make one request to the good folks at Richmond's Pub, if they're watching, I might get a little bit more seasoning, but the seasoning was
Shut
good.
your mouth.
What?
I had plenty on mine.
Well, Dean,
you know what I was doing? I was doing the old with the finger into the bottom of the.
Yeah. I get you.
Delicious, so pickly.
I just love those dill pickles. I just
so
love
good.
It's it's the Blake Coleman. I just love dill pickle anything. So maybe that just makes me a little bit more particular. But hey, I mean, I've had some real bad dill pickle wings too. I mean, there's people you can it's just clearly not their bread and butter pickles. Those are good dill pickle wings though at over at Richmond's, and I'm excited to have them again. I might try it. I might try another couple flavors though.
Yeah, I mix something in for sure. I did a hot and a dill pickle. It's going to be hard for me to go away from it. I won't lie to you.
That's a
good yin-yang. I'll maybe get another third, but get 3 in there, eh?
Yeah.
Really try and stir it up. And the pizza is tremendous.
Yes, it is. I delivered the pizza.
The pizza is tremendous. When Warner is ordering it over and over again, they're doing something right.
Yeah. If Rhett orders something more than 4 times in one night, he likes it.
Yeah.
That's the arbiter.
He's picky. I'm not sure about you, but he has high standards for sure. It's not been a great season as we sit here now. This is game number 32. For Yegor Sharangovich, he has 1 goal, no assists in his last 9. And when he's scoring, they're usually highlight reel. They're like laser beams, great shots, wiring pucks past goalies. But man, when he's not scoring, he's not really doing a whole lot for you, is he? It's been hard to find him the last little bit.
Yeah, he, watching him tonight, he almost looks sick. Like he doesn't quite have that gumption. And I think it's just something where it's tough for players who start the season injured. It can be in a lot of cases. It can sort of affect you all year. We saw it with Jacob Pelletier last year. It's something where you just never get on the right foot. They're going to give Yegor a lot of time because obviously they just made a huge financial commitment to him. And I would not be in a position right now where I'd be saying, oh, this guy is sort of checked out. He got his contract. He's just playing it out. Because I don't think that's true. I think with any goal scorer, you are going to have runs where you're scoring a lot, and you're going to have runs where you're scoring nothing at all. The thing that made Yegor so valuable last year was that, when he wasn't scoring, he was present. And right now, I would not describe him as present. He was disengaged tonight. It just didn't click for him whatsoever. And it's kind of been the story of his December. I liked the contract. I liked the trade when they got him from New Jersey. I thought he was a really nice player for them to add, who sort of matched what they were trying to do in terms of their age categories throughout their lineup. And I still like the player quite a bit. It's just a matter of finding the right line for him, because right now the Flames have some lines that are clicking. You don't want to disrupt. The Huberdeau, Kadri, Pospisil line is working quite well. The Backlund, Coleman, Coronado line is working quite well. The other thing that's hampering Yegor right now is that he just can't catch a break. His on-ice shooting percentage is just awful. But the other part of that is he's not really touching the puck very much. I think he was in overtime twice on the ice, and I don't think he touched the puck once. So I would really not be at the point right now where I'd be saying, oh, this guy's overpaid. He's checked out. He's, a mistake. I don't think there's anything to that at this point. I just think it's an instance of the player still trying to find a rhythm, which can be extremely difficult when you are, starting the year on the wrong foot, and you just always feel behind. And I think that was the case for Pelletier last year, and I think it's the case for Sharangovich right now.
Yeah, and I see both sides. I do see what you're saying, because that's a serious injury that you come into the season. That said, he's 24 games in now. You would hope that he would have knocked off whatever rust was there. Tonight, in 14-21 of ice, no shots on net, no points, a -1. And on the year, again, it's now starting to add up a little bit. This is now for Sharangovich, 25 games, 6 goals, 2 assists. So 8 and 25, that's not
No,
what you signed up for
no,
sure.
he hasn't been anywhere near what he should be, and a lot of that falls down to him. I mean, he's been given opportunities in plum positions in the lineup. You know, he's been given time next to Jonathan Huberdeau. He's been given time next to Nazem Kadri and Connor Zary, and he just hasn't been finishing. The thing that looks bad on him, especially right now, is that he's just not even taking any shots. The thing that I liked when he first came back is I thought he didn't really waste much time getting into those shooting areas and taking a lot of opportunities with the puck. And he was getting a lot of shots when he first came back. Right now, it's just been a lot of zeros. And it's not what you want to see for a guy who makes his money by shooting the puck. Because really, when Yegor Sharangovich is on, he is an outstanding shooter. I mean, the Flames have not had a guy, in my opinion, who is just as effortless in his release as Sharangovich is, you know, since I think the very early days of Elias Lindholm being with this team. And just when Elias Lindholm first got to Calgary, his release when he shot the puck, it was just something unbelievable.
Yeah.
I think Sharangovich, even when he's on, has a better release than Coronado, who scored tonight. You know, not to compare two guys who I think have amazing shots, but you know, when he's on, there's something so fluid and natural about it. Right now, there's nothing natural and there's nothing fluid about the way that Sharangovich is playing, and hopefully he gets on track.
Well, you think with a guy that can shoot it like that, you'd almost be telling him to maybe be a bit more selective because he'd be shooting from everywhere. Because truly, where he's been able to score from are not necessarily prime scoring areas. He's scoring from distance. He's scoring from everywhere. I'm just kind of looking at his game log. You go back to the end of November, he had 7 shots and a goal against Minnesota, had 7 shots and a goal against Ottawa. And now here over the last, he had no shots tonight, had 1 versus Florida, nothing against Tampa, 1 against Nashville, 1 against Dallas, none against St. Louis, 1 against Columbus. So it's, to your point, when your shooting percentage is low and you're not getting shots, it's like the Kuzmenko thing. You're just not shooting the puck enough. And I don't know that it's necessarily a possession thing. I feel like there should be opportunities there, but it's a slog right now.
I just almost wonder if he's re-aggravated something, because I think there was a point at the end of November where, to me, it looked like he was really finding it. He was scoring a lot. He got into a really nice groove, and just, you listed off those shot totals, it's just been nothing. So hopefully he figures it out, but I almost wonder if you need to sit him down for a couple games, just because they got guys who are asking and playing their way into bigger roles. And I think one guy who we should talk about is Jacob Pelletier, because I thought he had an excellent game tonight. And I think he's been, you know, really good in the last 2 games, especially, but since he came up.
Yeah, he gets an assist tonight. He's got the 1 shot, 13:46. You just want, you see how emotional he is and how engaged he is. You just want it to work for him. If you're a Flames fan, you've been following the team, this guy, you just want it to work out. Don't lose him on waivers. He's probably not going to ever live up to the billing that you get as a first round pick, but be an energy third line guy that can chip in and get you some goals. I do hope it works for him. I do wonder though. I mean, I would probably be hesitant to sit down Sharangovich unless there is something bugging him. I don't know. I think that for some players, maybe they need that. And I don't know why, even no reason to say it, but I don't, that just strikes me with Sharangovich. That's a situation where time away maybe doesn't help.
Yeah.
It might be something else.
Maybe you just need to say, go out and every time you touch the puck, shoot it. I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how Huska navigates it, because last year with Sharangovich, it was always clicking. And this is a player who, you know, has had down seasons. It's not like he hasn't rebounded from a year sort of like this before. Going back to your point about Pelletier, though, I will say, you know, for players drafted late in the first round, if Pelletier can carve out something for himself as a third line winger, to me, I think that is living up to his draft pedigree. I think maybe it's not necessarily living up to what it looked like he might be able to come in his first pro season, or his first 2 pro seasons with Stockton, when he, you know, went into the pros and was immediately first line winger in the American League, scoring at a point a game. And, granted, he had a very good line that he was playing on in Stockton. But at the same time, you watch that and you were like, oh, wow, what is this guy going to be? But going back to when Pelletier was drafted, I think if you told me back in 2019 that this guy is going to turn into a gritty third line winger who can maybe play up the lineup and score, 30 to 40 points a year, to me, that sounds pretty good. And for me, watching Pelletier these last couple games, there's just so much to like in the way that he plays. He's so quick. He is determined. He stays on the puck, and he's a really good penalty killer. And that's something that he really needed to do to become a fixture in this lineup. Because if you have a player like Pelletier who doesn't play special teams, you're essentially using him as a specialty player. And that is, why we've seen so many undersized wingers never make it in the NHL, is because they haven't been able to find that niche. It's the reason why Matthew Phillips couldn't crack it. It's the reason why Austin Czarnik couldn't crack it. If Pelletier can do that and be that gritty third line winger who also kills penalties and maybe eventually earns a spot on the second power play unit, then you're a lot happier. And right now, if he keeps playing like this, I'm going to give him more ice time if I'm the coach, because he just looks really engaged and like an NHL player to me.
Want a little message for Sober Carpenter? Christmas is coming. Maybe you're going to have, some drink. People get together. You have a cocktail. You have cheers. Craft beer reimagined. Now this year for Sober Carpenter, it's 5 years of brewing award-winning non-alcoholic craft beer. From hoppy IPAs to rich Irish reds, Sober Carpenter, they got the flavor without the buzz. You'll find Sober Carpenter at Sobeys and Loblaws, or delivered straight to your door at sobercarpenter.com. Cheers to 5 years of staying true to the craft. Sober Carpenter, crafted for those who sip differently. And by all means, sip differently, friends. If that's, if it's better not sip it at all. Sip differently.
You got to figure out the best way to sip. Sometimes some people sip the normal way, and some people just find a different way to sip.
And I know they sent a little care package over. I've not yet sipped differently. Supped. I've not had a supped yet, but I plan to. Yeah,
I think it's seeped,
something like that. Looking at the road ahead, it's going to be over here in a real hurry. Thursday they got the Ottawa Senators. Saturday it's Chicago, and then it's a 6-day break, which I guess is kind of a 5-day break because on the 28th they're in San Jose, so you're gonna have to travel to San Jose the day before. But it's an extended break, so there you see it. Thursday 7:00 start at the Dome for the Sens, who are hard to figure. It feels like maybe they've turned the corner. They've never been an easy out for the Flames regardless. When they've stunk, when they've been good, it's always been a challenge for them to play the Senators. So I'm very kind of curious to see what happens on Thursday. And then this one, I hate everything about it. If you're a Flames fan and you're hoping for a good outcome, you may get it. But the Saturday last game before Christmas, 2:00 in the afternoon against the last place Chicago, nothing about it feels good to me. I don't know if it can be a trap game when you're not in a playoff spot, but still, that to me has the makings of you lost to Chicago. Well, go and have some drinks because it's Christmas. 2:00 too. It's just the worst.
Chicago just won today too. They pulled off a wild comeback against Andrew Mangiapane and the Washington Capitals. And what's funny is that Mangiapane scores an incredible goal in that game. He dances around another former Flame and TJ Brody. Mangiapane, though, 11 points in 30 games this season for a second round pick for the Flames. I don't know. I mean, the Caps have been scoring a lot, and Mangiapane, I don't know. I still really like the look of that trade if I'm a Flames fan, but Chicago, TJ Brody actually scores the tying goal game for the Blackhawks, kind of atoning for his defensive miscue on the Mangiapane play. And Chicago's a weird team. I mean, you're playing Connor Bedard and Max Celebrini back to back. Right now, in my opinion, Celebrini looks like a much better player, but Bedard, you never know what you're going to get when you play against that guy. And he might just be due to pop off for a little, maybe multi-goal game. So we'll see how that one goes. But after that after that run of 3 games in a row, going to get a little bit tougher there for the Flames as they cap off 2024.
Yeah, Vegas is Vegas, and in Vegas is no fun. And Vancouver, they've got some guys back. I know they I mean, we're going to see, it's going to be an interesting second half for Vancouver because they've navigated a few things. Pedersen has a slow start and Miller leaves and Demko's hurt. Now, if they get everybody back and get it going, that's going to be a tough out. Some of the other games from around the league tonight, you mentioned the Blackhawks. They do beat the Caps. It is a beautiful goal. You go find it, Mangiapane. You've seen him do it, and he did it again. The Predators shut out the New York Rangers.
Oof.
Stamkos 2 assists. The Preds have now won 2 of their last 3. And for the Rangers, they've lost 3 in a row and 5 of 6. In their last 14 games, they have 3 wins. And it just feels like the Christmas break can't come soon enough for Peter Laviolette and the Rangers, they got to just get us to the break. Don't fire us. Don't trade us. Just get us there.
There's somebody, I don't remember who I saw on social media tonight, but who made a very interesting comparison with Capo Caco, who has been often mentioned in trade rumors around New York, and who, kind of
was healthy scratch 2 nights ago
and shaded his own coaching staff shortly thereafter, saying, I don't know if I'm the one who should have come out, which is never a good sign, usually a harbinger to something a little bit larger on the horizon. But somebody made an interesting comparison between Kako, who, in his draft year, had a pedigree of a guy who was ready to step in right away and had a real powerful frame and, looked like a big scorer, but hasn't really figured that out to a certain extent. Somebody made an interesting comparison between Kako as a project and a guy like Valeri Nichushkin when Colorado got him away from Dallas and kind of was able to mold him into the player he is today. Now, granted, Nichushkin has had some bumps on the road, but with Kako, it's an interesting little thought experiment. If you're Calgary, now granted, they don't have the McKinnon, they don't have the Makar, but I just wonder if that's a player who, if you're Calgary, you're saying, what can we do with a player of this archetype? Can we make something more out of you? Now, granted, I think the Rangers are going to be they're going to be patient with Kako, maybe more so than some of the other players on that team, and they're not going to give him away for free. But I just think it's an interesting thought, and the Rangers right now are just going wrong in a lot of ways.
Yeah. Is he Nichushkin? Because we were actually, I think it was last week, maybe we were talking with Darren Dreger about it. It's like, is he Nichushkin or is he Jesse Puljujarvi? Who is real strong, high draft pick, big force when you watched him before he got into the NHL, and then just couldn't connect the dots. Elsewhere, Devils beat the Blues by a score of 4-1. It's 3 in a row for the Devils. Markstrom 20 stops, Jack Hughes 2 assists. The Canes shut out the Islanders 4-23 for Sorokin, a goal and an assist for Sebastian Aho, and Kochetkov 32 save shutout. The Penguins are back 7-2-1 in their last 10. They win in overtime over LA 3-2. Ricard Raquel, the overtime winner. The Lightning, just how many goals do you want tonight? 5, 6, 7? How many do you want? Well, 5? Okay, we'll get 5. Beat the Jackets 5-3. Nick Paul goal and 2 assists. Jake Gensel goals in 7 straight. They've won 5 of 6. And the Buffalo Sabres.
Oof.
They lose 6-1 to the Habs tonight. Their owner meets with them in Montreal and says, fellas, we've lost 10 in a row. Now, we're not going to trade anybody. We're not firing anybody, but fellas, all right? Let's get our poop in a group here, all right? I'm Terry freaking Pagula. You see what my Bills are doing? They're great. I want the same out of you turkeys. All right, sounds good, Terry. Yep. It was 1-0 Montreal 19 seconds into the first period. Attaboy, Terry. You got through to them.
Well, that, and on the other side of things, that Patrick Laine trade is just looking like an absolute coup for the Montreal Canadiens. I love that trade for Montreal when they made it. Something about Laine to me just sort of says that guy needs the bright lights. I think it lets him. I think he's the kind of guy who just thrives under the microscope to a certain extent. And I just almost wonder if even in Winnipeg, the lights weren't bright enough. At a certain point they were, but they just kind of tailed off a little bit. And in Columbus just didn't have anything, away from the rink necessarily. With Laine and Montreal, it's just always seemed like kind of a
It
magical
does seem to fit. Obviously, the goals are there.
Right.
It's a hat trick. All 3 power play goals. It's been the frustrating thing is the guy has all the tools in the world.
Yeah.
He's a horse. He can shoot it as good as anybody and sometimes better than anybody else when he's on his game in the entire National Hockey League. And then how do you take that skill set and how do you just disappear?
Yeah.
Because when you're on, look out. And you're right. He does feel like he's maybe one of those guys. You know, another guy that, although he was tremendous other places, but when Alexei Kovalev went
that
to
was
Montreal,
exactly who I was thinking about.
it's like
Exactly who I was thinking
that
about.
guy's very comfortable. It's got a very European feel to the city. It just really worked for him there. And Laine seems like he's another one of those guys.
You took the words right out of my mouth, but I just think with Laine, he's a kind of guy who kind of needs to be a rock star, like a superstar, you know. And for Kovalev, I was thinking in my head even before you were going to say it, you know, he went from Broadway to Montreal. And that's sort of the mentality. You just, with all those guys who have the big flash, well, sometimes you need all the camera flashes too, and it needs to go both ways. And for Laine, it always felt like to me a natural fit, and for Montreal to get paid for the trouble of taking him always seemed just ridiculous to me, and just a wonderful fit for them. On the Buffalo end, oh wow! I mean, I would be putting up a big for sale sign to entice anybody to bid on a guy like Dylan Cousins or Bo Byram or whoever. To me, you know, you got Rasmus Dahlin and you got Tage Thompson. You should be trying to get whatever you can to fit with these guys. Aside from that, it just has not worked, and they've tried to restart it so many times that you almost wonder if it's the owner at this point, because with Pagula at the helm, they haven't made the playoffs since his first year there. They have not made the playoffs in a single full season. We're getting into Arizona Coyotes territory a little bit here. It's just not working. Now, I don't think you need to take hockey out of Buffalo, but I think you might need to take that owner off the team, because you buy out Jeff Skinner this summer and you have the wherewithal, or you have the means to take on, you know, some more financial commitments, but you don't have necessarily the wherewithal to do it. And to me, that comes from the top. So Buffalo.
And then you watch Jack Eichel and Sam Reinhart win Stanley Cups elsewhere in back-to-back seasons.
Montour too.
Not ideal.
It's just how many of these guys can you let walk and go find success somewhere else and not think, oh, maybe I am running a ship that has sprung a number of leaks. I think that's the case in Buffalo. And the people in Buffalo who are, just losing their minds this summer when the Sabres elected not to weaponize the cap space they freed up by buying out Jeff Skinner. They're looking mighty vindicated right now, because the Sabres sure look like they are at least a couple pieces away.
A couple of the games, Ottawa here on Thursday, they shut out Seattle by a score of 3-0. It's Pinto, Gregor, and Stützle with the goals there. And the other game in San Jose, the Sharks lead the Winnipeg Jets. The 22-9-1 Jets are down 3-2 in the third. Fabian Zetterlund Celebrini scores again.
Max Celebrini is the best rookie I have seen since McDavid, and he's the best. He's the best. He is the player who reminds me the most of Crosby. I've said this before on the show. He's the player who reminds me the most of Crosby in the league right now. Just the way that he plays the game, he is outstanding. I can't get enough of watching that player.
Yeah, 3-2 Sharks lead. He's got a goal and an assist. He has had a dynamite season. That's probably good from where we sit. The Flames, they had a lead. They had a 3-1 lead heading into the third period, and then got outshot, outscored, outworked. And I don't even know that it was necessarily that they ran out of gas or that the Bruins ran them out of the rink. It was just a combination of all of that. So credit to the Bruins for finding a way to get their game going in the final 24-20 of the hockey game as they win it in overtime. David Pastrnak, his 12th. Flames back at it Thursday against the Ottawa Senators. That is it for Afterburner, for Yasmin, for this guy, Mike Gould. It's boom. Giving you one of these.
That'll do it.
See you, buddies.